Good morning to all of you. Thank you to the PMI Chennai Chapter for inviting me here. It's an honor. I was very pleasantly surprised to see such a large group of people over here. It's almost a full house, it seems. My pleasure to be here. Do I turn this on? It's on. The next slide is not coming? Yeah. So, today's topic on reskilling the millennials for project success is very relevant and a current topic. So, before I actually get started, I thought I would speak to you about my topic, which is learning in the digital age. The learning landscape has changed. We need to upskill people. We saw the previous presenter saying there's a big shortage of skills. So how do we get to upskilling people in this new learning landscape that I'm going to be speaking about? Learning in the digital age, learning in the 21st century. How do we get the millennials? How do we teach the modern learner? Okay, so I'll give you a little story about my PMP story. I'm a PMP. And the way I achieved my certification some years ago was to go and attend the 4 days of instructor-led training. So what did that look like? I had to leave my work schedule, attend training 4 full days. The schedule was preordained. I had to be listening over there. And then after my class, I had to go and look at perhaps Rita Mulcahy, do a little bit of learning there, take some tests and so on. So that was the way I did my PMP so many years ago. But looking at how the learners are learning today, do you think that they would be going away 4 days of training in a classroom? Would they be doing that? No, I don't think. They would want to do learning on the go, how they want it. So the entire learning landscape has changed from how when I did it to how people are doing it now. And so although after attending the 4 days of training, I was thoroughly refreshed. And why was I refreshed? Because most of the training I slept, okay? I was very refreshed at the end. I wasn't listening at all. The training did not help me to go and pass the exam. I had to go elsewhere and then do it on my own. And so which is why if I have to, I keep my PMP alive. I cannot imagine going through that ordeal again. But the modern millennial, the modern learner, he will not be doing learning like this. He will want training on the go when he wants it in short bursts. So that's how my presentation is going to be. And even from a Skillsoft perspective, I'm sorry I did not maybe give you an introduction about myself. I'm Nirmala, the president of eWIT, Empowering Women in IT, which is a not-for-profit organization. Our main objective is to advance the career of women in the workforce and achieve the share and sustainability of women in IT and ITES. And I'm also wear the other hat. I'm a service delivery manager at Skillsoft. You might have heard about Skillsoft. They are the global learners in e-learning. So they do everything to address the needs of the modern learner. And that's what I'm going to be speaking to you about today. I've held various positions, and the most important certification that I have is the PMP, like I mentioned, which I keep alive. Okay, so what are going to be your takeaways from today's session? Setting the context. I think even in the previous presentation, a lot of context setting was done on how things are changing. So I'll very briefly, and I think all of you know the changing landscape. So I'll quickly set the context. Then we'll speak about the modern learner. Who is the modern learner? All of us are modern learners. So what is it that we are looking for in learning in the digital age? That's the modern learner. Best practices for engaging the modern learner. So how do you engage with the modern learners? What is it that you need to do to keep them engaged? It's all about engaging modern learners. And I'll also give you some best practices. Being in the learning space, we get to interacting with companies from across all industries, whether it's manufacturing, whether it is IT, retail, banking. We meet customers across the different industries. What are they doing to upskill? Okay, how are they reskilling the workforce? How are they inspiring millennials? And how are they making project success? What are some of these companies, the best practices that we're doing? I'm in a very privileged position to be, having access to all the L&D of various companies. And then, as a project manager, this is a PMI chapter. So project managers, that is our business. All of us are project managers. We are not millennials. I certainly am not a millennial. So what is the digital mindset as a project manager that you need to have so that you can be inspiring the millennials and they can do what needs to be done to achieve project success? And then some key takeaways. My presentation is going to be not just a few slides, not too much, and I hope that we'll make it interactive and have questions. Ask me anything about best practices, ask me about the modern learner, what more could you be doing, and so on. Yeah, does that sound good? Yes? How about a louder yes? Thank you. Okay, so this is part of the context setting. Nothing new over here. Demographic upheavals. The previous person spoke about 5 generations in the workplace. Why are we having so many generations in the workplace? Because people are working longer and longer. Better health care. Okay, people are not retiring. So for the first time, you're having 5 generations, from the traditionalists to Gen Z. And Gen Y is what we mean, is what we mean by the millennials. Okay, and then digital technology is everywhere. It's disrupting business models. It's changing the workplace and how work is done. I think every single one of you would be agreeing with that. The rate of change has accelerated. Business must become more agile. So when you speak about the modern learner, the word that constantly comes up is agility. So who is this agile modern learner? How do you get this agile mindset, which is so very important for the 21st century? Okay, as opposed to a fixed mindset. So we'll speak about that. The new social contract between employers and employees. Okay, so the younger workers, they want a career growth. They want a flexible workplace and a sense and purpose of work. Okay, I think it was last year I attended the NASSCOM HR session, and as part of that, we had asked, or NASSCOM had invited a couple of millennials to come up to the podium and speak about what is it that they wanted from the employers. Okay, and you must remember that I'm no way a millennial. So listening to these young kids speak on what they wanted from organizations, I was, what is the word? I don't want to say shocked, but I was alarmed, surprised. Oh my God. Flexibility, okay? So that guy said, sometimes my boss asks me to come on a Saturday and a Sunday. Is he mad or what? I have to take my girlfriend out. You know, that's what he said. I've got better things to do on a Saturday or a Sunday. I'll not be coming over here. I cannot be working overtime. My parents are, he said something to indicate that his parents were quite affluent, and so he'll be wanting to be changing his job. Okay, he'll not be sticking to one job. I think even the previous person spoke about that. People don't stay on for 15, 20 years like how our generation did, right? He said every few years I'll be changing, I'll be taking a gap here. So that's the kind of the new social contract between employers and employees. Things are changing. They want this career, work-life balance. They want good times, flexible, and that's what those millennials spoke about, and I was really surprised. So these are industry trends. How do you keep up? 5 generations in the workforce, rapid change, rise in skill gaps. We saw that India had the 2nd largest skill gap, right? That's what the gentleman before me spoke about. Learners are becoming consumers, okay? So they want a Netflix type of experience. When they get into the learning portal, they want somebody to ask them, what do you want to learn today, right? They want a playlist. They want to resume learning. They want a Netflix. They are consumers. So you have to wow them. You have to take learning to them. So that's the kind of experience that the millennials want. So what do? How do we cope up with these changes? We are managers. We have millennials. Have you been asked to address the learning needs of the modern learners? Now, who are the modern learners? You might have seen this slide. It is a Burson and Deloitte slide. And the modern learner, these are the adjectives that you can speak about him. He is overwhelmed. He is distracted. He is impatient. He checks his mobile. I do not know. There's some number over here. I couldn't believe that that's the number of times. 9 times every hour we'll be checking. I think 9 is very conservative. I think every minute all of us will be checking. I'm sure most of you are also checking, right? he's impatient. So he's got 1% of a typical work week for learning. 1% of his work time per week for learning. That is the challenge that we have. That 1% translates to about 24 minutes of learning. So to upskill, just remember our topic. With that 24 minutes, how do you upskill the modern learner? That's the challenge that we have. These are common characteristics of the modern learner. Okay? Highly connected and social. Many of these things would be familiar to all of you. Ongoing skill improvement. They want to keep on learning. As a manager, my team folks keep on coming and telling me, what's the next thing I can learn? An ongoing skill improvement. They are not just happy to be doing something today and getting a good rating. Frequent feedback. Is that something that you have encountered? Earlier, the feedback system was like once a year we did performance appraisals. Now, at Skillsoft, we have something known as a 30 by 30. Every month, I am obliged by the process to have a 30 by 30 minute with my employees, the people who report in to me, and give them feedback. How have they done? What better could they be doing? Aspiring to grow in their career. They want the life-work balance. I spoke to you about that NASSCOM summit where the millennials spoke about work-life balance, flexibility. They want meaningful work. They want to be connected. They want to be social. But tell me something. What generation in the workflows today doesn't want these things? We are saying that these are common characteristics of the millennials, of modern learners, but it doesn't matter. Even if you are a baby boomer, even if you are a Gen X, right? Or even if you are a traditionalist, which is from 1946 to 65 you were born, you also want all these things, right? So rather than focusing on the millennial, let us speak about the modern learner. Who is the modern learner? The modern learner is the person who is learning in the digital age. And all of us are modern learners. You don't have to be a millennial because we want the same things. Today's employee isn't just sitting back and waiting for professional development and opportunities to be offered to them. That is how it was when we learned. We were sent to some training, there was a training calendar, and we were waiting for opportunities. But today's modern learner, they want training and information on demand in a way that they can digest it, specific to their knowledge gaps. Teach me what I don't know, and using the latest in technology. This is the modern learner. Give you a second to go through this. Okay, give me tailored prescriptive content that covers my varied and diverse needs. So it all comes back. The entire context goes back to the modern learner, that slide that I gave by Burson and Deloitte. He's overwhelmed, he is impatient, he is distracted. He's the modern learner. So given that he is so distracted and impatient, what can you do to keep his life simple? By giving him tailored prescriptive content. Okay, in other words, curation is a key word that you will be learning today. He wants curated content. What is curated content? He wants somebody to have gone through that entire domain of learning and make it into custom channels, is another word. Okay, make it into custom channels and prescribe that learning. It's like a learning path to him. Curate it, make it easy so that he's not overwhelmed. He can choose a custom channel that meets his needs, and he might just not want to stick to, say, Skillsoft learning. He might want to go through the content of multiple vendors. Why should he only stick to one vendor? He wants aggregated content. He wants the best. And he doesn't want the company to say, hey, guys, you know what? We have bought content from this learning vendor. You will use this learning content from this vendor because we have made the investment. Oh, no. That's not the modern learner. Modern learner wants choice. Aggregate content. I will choose what I want to learn, how I want to learn, which vendor suits me. Right? That's the modern learner. So give me that curated content. Content aggregation is another word that you will hear about. All to do with reskilling workers. You aggregate content from across different vendors. You make it available. I'm telling you, learning in the 21st century, you couldn't have had it better. I just wish that we had these kind of stuff and I was, so much younger. So curation, custom channels, show me my progress so that I can quickly assess where I'm completing a track. Like Netflix, you resume your movie, right? You know how much. You know at every time if that movie is 2 hours, you know you have how many minutes left, right? And all the time I'm kind of seeing it. You know, I've got 20 minutes left. Same way in learning, he wants to know how many minutes he's got left. Track me my progress. Get me to the bit of content when I need it, okay? So today's learner wants what's known as bite-sized content. He is, say, working on an RFP, doing something, he's very busy, he quickly wants to go and see, what do you mean, what's the definition of a risk? I'll give a PMP example. You know, what is a risk definition? How do I mitigate risk? So at that minute, at that second, he quickly wants to go and have a quick little bit of learning about risk. That's what he wants to do, and then come back to his work. So how can the company allow him to have that maybe one paragraph on what he needs to do, and then he gets to his verse? That is today's learner. So there are different applications. We have something known as ELSA, where when you click on the word risk, it goes into your learning systems. It gives you all the content that is available, say, on risk management. Quickly I learn, whether it is a book or video or whatever, I quickly learn. Learning in the flow of work. That's the expression. In the flow of work. You don't want to leave your work because you're so busy. Quickly learn and then get back to work. Offer me ways to watch, read, listen, or practice. I need different modalities. I might want to go through a video. I might want to go through an audiobook. I might want to read a book. I might want to do some practice. Watch, read, listen, practice. Right? Give me different modalities. Help me develop new skills and reinforce skills on the job. If you are not reinforcing, people will forget. 90% of what you learn, within that, if you don't apply it with the next 1 week, 90% of that learning is gone. Scrap learning. So reinforcement is what he needs. And then let me take this with me anytime, anywhere, any device. Okay, I need mobile learning. I'll be learning at the gym. I'll be learning in my car when the traffic light, I'm stuck in a traffic, in a mess, in a traffic jam. I want to be learning anywhere. When I'm waiting at the doctor's, right, and I've got 1 hour, the doctor is keeping me waiting. Maybe I'll quickly go into my mobile and do mobile learning. So this is what modern learners want. They want a mix of learning modalities. Choice is key. He is king. So, the formula for the modern learner, that's what the modern learner wants. So, learner-centric. How do you address the needs of the modern learner? Which is going to result in reskilling, upskilling, cornerstone of project success. Just in time, just for me, personalized learning experience. What's a personalized learning experience? When I get into my learning experience platform, no longer is it called an LMS, a learning management system. If you're using the word LMS, you are old school. Okay? It is learning experience. They want like Netflix, they want like Amazon. So it's an experience. So they want just in time, just for me, personalized. Personalized means recommendations. Nirmala, what would you like to learn today? Can we recommend something to you based on your past learnings? That's the kind of experience I want, personalized. The system is giving me what they think I should be learning based on what I have been learning, based on my learning preferences. Short 2 to 5 minute bursts, that's all. I'm distracted. Remember, I'm a very distracted person. 9 times in an hour, I'm going through my smartphone. Where will I have more than 2 to 5 minutes to sit and learn? So I want short bursts of learning. And if you want, that can be combined into a larger program if I want to do more complete learning. I want varied treatments. I want experts. I want a scenario. I want animation. I want how to. So if I want to do, say, conflict management, the old way of doing it, conflict. These are the reasons for conflict. You might have learned in PMP, right? The inputs for conflict and what we should do for conflict. And to pass the exam, I also would have gone through, these are the most common things for conflict and this is what I need to do and stuff like that we'll be doing. The modern learner doesn't want that. What does the modern learner want? He wants a scenario. like a little thing in the office that you can relate to. There is a conflict between two people, in a table. It's a situation that he can relate to, and then somebody explaining what should be done. That kind of learning is like on-the-job learning. You can go and apply it. So that's what we mean by the short, this varied treatment, experts, scenarios, animation. Then reinforce, practice, assess. So even in the PMP training that we have what's known as mentoring. So as and when I get stuck, the platform says, ask my mentor. So you can key in your question. In the flow of work, ask my mentor. It's a live chat that you can get into, and you can get somebody answering your doubts. Okay? So that's what we mean by reinforce, practice, assess, ensure application of learning, retention driven. Embedded, accessible within your learning systems, company portals. Push content recommendations to learners. Like it's recommending, Nirmala, what do you want to learn? Mobile, anytime access via tablet, smartphone, read, listen, and watch. So this is the formula for the modern learner. This is what is going to get you to upskill, reskill your learners for the 21st century. Watch, read, listen, practice. Watching is all about videos, micro-learning for agile delivery. Reading is all about books. Listening is audiobooks. Relevant strategy and leadership titles. And practice is, many of our companies come and tell us, okay, you've got wonderful stuff, you've got videos, you've got books, but at the end of the day, my people need to be ready to be handling projects. You need to get them in front of a project. So they need practice. So we have what is known as practice labs, where people can go and actually do coding. Okay, so hands-on practice labs. So that's the practice part of it. And then you integrate that with your mentoring and support, and this is what we mean by multimodal. Digital transformation. I said that my topic was going to be about learning in the digital age. Old content, it was kind of instructor-led approach. You had a voice-over, you had simple graphics, and then you had all the PowerPoint slides with bullets. That's the old way of learning. That's not how people learn. The new content is high-definition video-based courses, modern, engaging, instructional design. Okay, that's what is needed. Application examples. I spoke to you about the conflict management, a real-life scenario that you would have encountered. And then high-motion iconography brings content to life. So this is how the new content is. That is how content used to be earlier. All this is part of the digital transformation. Show impact with data visualization. So we are managers. Okay, and what do we need to know is we need to have runtime information. If so many people have been assigned to some learning, I need to know how many of those learners have accessed the content, how many of those learners have completed. So I want to see the impact of data visualization. So the platform needs to be giving me some kind of data visualization, where as a manager, I get to be seeing all this. And this is what the modern day learning experience platforms are giving you. Runtime, the manager can see how many have access, how many have completed, how many are in progress, what is the average score. So this is how we can enable learning. Curated learning paths, I spoke to you about. Practice, learn in the flow of work, learn in the workflow. Access from any device. I might have a tablet, I might have a smartphone, I might have a PC. I'll just access it from any device, and maybe in the morning I learn on my smartphone, I access content on the smartphone. In the evening, I access my laptop, and it should be synchronized, and I should be able to take off from where I left. Watch, read, and listen. And we spoke about videos and 2 to 5 minutes breaks. That's micro learning, but I'd also want macro learning. I need both micro and macro. Macro is if I want to take a certification, I really want to learn a topic well. I want to have some a certification, or I really want to learn some topic. That's when you do macro learning. After 30 days, we retain only 21% of what we have learned. So reinforcement during the first month is very important, and you need continual reinforcement. So quizzes, flashcards, prompts to explain what you have learned to a colleague in your own words. In other words, you need to have a social platform for learning, where people can share the learnings, where people can recommend. If you recommend a learning and tell me, this is good, I'll more than likely go and learn what you have recommended. Real-world scenarios, tip of the day, apply what you have learned. So you need constant reinforcement. Okay. Now, the changing nature of leadership. Earlier, leadership was all siloed. You had that guy at the top, and you had so many people reporting into him, and it was kind of siloed leadership. But how is it now? It is all about collaboration. It's about teams. It's about hero teams, not hero leaders. So everyone is a hero. The team does well. You're only as good as your team. Distributed decision making. It's no longer hierarchical. Okay, no longer a siloed leadership. So this is the changing nature of leadership. And as project managers, what is it that we can do? Because we are in leadership positions, how do we achieve project success in this changing space? So these are some of the digital mindsets that are essential for the project manager. Okay, all of these are very important. Let's cover them. One is the agile mindset. Okay, so what is the agile mindset? There are two mindsets. One is an agile mindset and one is a fixed mindset. As a project manager, you need to be open to your team members coming up, with various suggestions. You can think that things can be done differently. You need to be using iterative approaches to divide work, short phases, early and frequent evaluations, and basically think that with learning we can keep doing things better. Agile, flexible, innovation. That's the cultural mindset that is needed. And then virtual collaboration. Okay, it is a virtual world. Your team might not be sitting in front of you. So what are the virtual collaboration best practices that you need to put? So leveraging behaviors, practices, techniques that facilitate efficient, effective collaboration amongst a dispersed team. That's very important. So all the productivity tools you need to be very familiar with, WebEx, Office 365, all those collaboration tools, how to ensure that your voice is felt in a virtual meeting. That's a challenge. In a face-to-face meetings, things are much easier. A passion for continuous learning, enthusiasm for steeping out and acquiring new information and knowledge. And maybe your team members are going to be coming and telling you things. Remember, your team members could be millennials. They're going to be coming and they probably know more than you. Okay? So that passion for continuous learning. A team-based orientation. I spoke about the teams. They are the cornerstone of success. It is no longer the hierarchical approach. You need to have a data-driven mindset. Everything is done with data. You need to have data for making decisions. Okay? Take a balanced approach to making data-driven decisions. Cross-functional dexterity. Okay? You need to be collaborating with a wide range of functions. So how do you have that cross-functional dexterity? So these are all some of the digital mindsets that are essential for the project manager. And then a customer-centric orientation. That's in the center of it all. Okay, considering the customer experience above all, using practices and techniques to identify and solve pain areas most critical to the customer. I think we saw a slide, the World Economic Forum indicated what are the skill sets needed in 2020, what are the skill sets needed now, and a customer-centric focus, critical problem-solving skills, problem-solving, these are some of the skills that are needed. So these digital mindsets, we need to be very comfortable with all of these. So what I am going to do is, this is my last slide. These are some, and I'll go through the key takeaways, and then maybe we will throw it up for questions. If you have anything at all on what I have presented, please feel free to ask. We still have, I've factored in some time for questions, so let's have some questions from the audience. So what are the key takeaways from my talk is, you need to deliver learning for the digital age. We are living in the digital age, and learning should be attuned to that. Empower your learners. L&D can't program the modern learning. instead create an ecosystem where learning can flourish. So I think that's what I spoke about, how to address the needs of the modern learner, giving them different modalities, curating learning, and so on. That entire slide was creating an ecosystem where learning can flourish. Apply the modern learning formula towards your design. Project managers to display digital mindsets. Thank you so much. You've been an amazing audience. And again, thank PMI for inviting me here. Thank you.
Thank you for the wonderful session, Ms. Nirmala. As a token of appreciation, we would like to present a memento and spot event photograph in memory of the conference. I now request Mr. Nandakumar, Vice President, Marketing, PMI Chennai Chapter, to come. Thank you.